Hi, this is Jennifer Law with the Center for Bioethics and Culture, and I'm here today speaking with my good friend Joey Brite, who is the executive producer on a brand new film. I hope you've seen it, called Affirmation Generations. It stirred up a little bit of controversy since it was released, and I understand it was on Vimeo, off Vimeo, and now it's back on Vimeo. Joey, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, breaking news, huh?
Yeah.
We put it up a little on the early side on Friday night, the 17th, like kind of surprise. It was supposed to come out on the 18th. And it immediately started. We were watching it grow and grow and grow. And 3 days later, just over 19,000 views. And with no warning, Vimeo just pulled it down, under the whole community guidelines thing.
So yeah, and I saw you tweeting that it was trending. It even was getting viewed so much that you broke into the trending on Twitter category.
And yesterday we trended again because of the cancellation.
Yeah, sometimes that works to your benefit.
Yeah, but it's the Streisand effect.
I know that happened with the film Dead Name. It got banned, and then it had to get put up on a different platform, and it's done well. So anyway, so no warning from Vimeo.
No, none, and and of course no explanation right away. And Vera Linda, the producer, appealed right away, and all of a sudden, surprisingly, it just reappeared this morning. But she did see that they have a clause that I know when my channel on Vimeo got pulled after doing the Can I Get a Witness conference in August of 2020, Vaishnavi Sundar edited all that for me. We had it up by September, and 5 months later, again, no warning. But I looked at all of their terms. Vera told me that she saw that they have conversion therapy as a clause now. That was not something that was there in March of 2021.
So she thinks that kind of flagged the movie or something? You don't know.
Who knows? Because they never have to say.
But it's weird that it's back up. So that's good. But that's good.
Very good.
And I saw like instantly, because it is a for free watch movie. So a lot of people grabbed it and posted it on. I saw it on a Substack, on another platform. So people were trying to save the movie.
Matt Osborne of LGB United was very prescient in getting it up there, and anybody can see that. And I recommend that everybody go to LGB United. They have a Substack called The Distance, which is really great. And he embedded it, and it was like, that was the first one. But then it was like, who's put this up on Odyssey? Who's put this up on Rumble? Who's put this up on the other one? I forget already. It's like there's a three that people put stuff up on, and it's on YouTube. And one of our detransitioners, actually David Arthur, got it up on his YouTube channel as well, which always concerns me because that could wipe out a whole channel. When somebody does that. So just so everybody knows that anything you see that's not on the Vimeo or isn't going to be eventually on our website, it's been bootlegged, and so far, I mean, the views already have shown up that I can tell, and speaking to all sources, more than 25,000 at this point.
And as filmmakers, you're not sad that it was bootlegged and put up on other platforms, are you? Because it's out there, but then you're not collecting the data.
We can't control the data. We can't know it. We can only do the best. Like I said, my figure I just said of 25,000, over 25,000 around there is estimated at this point. We would like to get this up on a streaming platform, and so eventually, if we do sell it, it'll have to come down from those. But at this point, the whole goal of Vera Linder and myself, when we first talked about this, and the woman who has to remain anonymous, who is the eventual editor of the whole piece, our goal was to get it out to the world as quickly as possible, because we knew more than a year ago, Vera and I were talking about all of these countries falling to this, this pernicious agenda. And once we saw that any religious countries that are typically Catholic, or as Alex Aaron in Israel was talking about what was happening in Israel, we were like shocked, and then we've got to move on something. And now what's happened just this past week or so, Spain has fallen to this, which is absolutely shocking to me.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned other movies, and I mentioned other movies. Our center has made 2 movies. Why this movie? What did you see that needed to be addressed? Why your movie? Why now? Why did you make it?
Well, with your movie Transmission, that was,
And
I felt,
be critical. If you could say, we're friends.
listen, it was a great start and a good overview, and having the personal testimonies and stuff like you did. But it wasn't focused on the medical harms, right? Just little bits and pieces. As anybody knows that's involved in this, it's such a hydra head of places and society and our lives and everything that it's near impossible to do in one film. I think that a series, would be great. But Transmission, your first movie on this subject, fantastic, a good eye opener for people that didn't know anything about it. Then you do the Detransitioner's Diaries, fantastic personal stories, now focusing on those marginalized voices that people don't even know. I mean, I think that most of the population doesn't even know what detransitioner even means, right? So it's that conversation that needs to be carried out. And Vera, who is a mother of an ROGD child, and so
Explain what ROGD is.
rapid
Okay.
onset gender dysphoria, ROGD, and then you can throw on the K, an ROGDK parent of a child who, or kid, parent of a child who has fallen into this gender woo-woo trap. Most of this happening online and in very small groups, social contagion, developing the whole thing. Lisa Littman coined that term ROGD. So with your Detransitioner's Diary and Transmission and these other films like Deadening did what your other two movies didn't do. That just focused on three families, an intimate deep dive. And I recommend anybody go, for Deadening and pay the money. It's $10,
Yeah.
see it, three different families. And what was poignant to me about Deadening, not only that I know Amy, and I've been able to meet her personally and we've hung out, but the woman who I don't know, I think that she was an early adopter to possibly going into the protests in 2021 that I was doing across the country with other really strong leaders in cities. The fact that she's a lesbian it breaks that stereotype that all lesbians and gays, are behind this. Like, no.
Yeah.
But they were, and they are. And I can blame, that community 100 times over. And I know that's not what we're going to be talking about. But with our film and what Vera wanted to do, her vision was, look, we all know this is an enormous story. I want to focus on the medical harms and create a short piece. She thought she was going to do this and it was going to be a 15-minute to 20-minute PSA. And she started talking to me about it. I was just laughing at her and I said, that's not going to happen. This is at least 90 minutes. And the more that it went on, she went, okay, it's moved from 10 minutes to now it's 30. And then it's 40, because as soon as Vera connected with a filmmaker, an actual documentarian who's written a wonderful piece that came out in the Dallas Morning News about a week and a half ago now.
We can link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, wonderful, about why she wanted to make this movie as a liberal, and all three of us are like liberal Democrats, the whole thing. And so we all had different reasons for wanting to do this. But when Vera and I had already started a working relationship around the protest, she found out I was involved with those. I was orchestrating those. So early 2021, we started having our conversations. And we both have film and music as loves, and interests. I'm a real film freak, and I believe in the power of documentaries like yours to change lives, to change minds, to really help save lives and
tell stories.
And tell stories that really touch the heart and can move people to action.
Well, and one of the reasons we got into filmmaking was we realized people just don't read. We can write great articles and point them to all kinds of studies and people, but you can get people to sit down and watch a movie, and then that sparks conversation. And so let me ask you, when you were in your pre-production, who was the audience? Who were you trying to speak to? Because, there's parents, there's educators, there's lawmakers.
Vera's main thing that she said at first were doctors. And then decision makers. So then we're looking at politicians, community leaders, and then of course that leads to educators. And of course, parents are all of those, categories. But yes, the parents specifically that we're dealing with, thinking they're alone like, they didn't know anybody out there that was dealing with this. There are so many parents that are still in that position. For anybody that's been in this fight for a while, there's still parents that have no idea that these secret parent groups exist all over the country.
Yeah.
So it was like pediatricians, and as a matter of fact, this link will be in the inbox of about 66,000 pediatricians that are in the United States. That was an email list
Wow.
that we
Wow.
got. So this has come with a purpose to have a website be a companion piece. So we've got affirmationgenerationmovie.com as the companion website to support and continue on the work, and a lot of the conversations and things that the movie just hints at. For instance, Jennifer Billick I spent a long time interviewing her,
Yeah.
and she's just in there for moments. That's going to live on the website, the full interview that I did with her.
Yeah.
As Vera did one with me last summer, and she's going to edit that, and at some point that'll be on there. But we want detransitioners to be in there. We're going to have a parent toolkit. I don't know if Vera's already got that up or not, but everything is going to grow exponentially. And like you, I was very concerned about having the film be in different languages, Spanish being the first one. And already this morning, when I woke up, I had in my personal inbox through Facebook, please make this in Spanish, sent to me from other people, from pastors, a priest and a pastor back east.
Yeah.
In the United
So
States.
that's a call to action right now for those listening in. If you are fluent in a language, I'm sure that Joey would be happy to work with you to get you the script. It's just a matter of translating the script, and then the subtitles can be uploaded right onto the Vimeo platform or YouTube or wherever it's going to be hosted. And that's a great way to take one film in one language and spread it and spread it and spread it. So yeah, that's great.
So pre-production, yeah, that's what we were looking at that. And then the pediatrician thing came around. It was like, that is really, and then First Do No Harm, the rally that happened in Anaheim became very important. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And how, other than the thousands and thousands of people have watched it, how has the media responded to the film? Have you gotten some good press? Have you gotten some bad press? Have you gotten no press?
We haven't gotten any bad press, more like no press. But here's the thing, is that that was part of the role that I took on right away. When Vera asked me, would you please, I finally met somebody, I want to make this movie, and would you be my main consultant to work with this? So she knows that PR is in my wheelhouse and getting things. And I've had these relationships developing with parents from pre-2020, lesbians who were confused about what was going on, and I had some forums and things that I was on. Aaron Brewer had interviewed me, and I talked about being hustled in the 90s with testosterone, street grade testosterone. That drew a lot of people, and they started to follow me from that. And so all those relationships I have turned into, and I'm a natural networker anyway, so I started connecting people since, like I said, pre-pandemic. And then when the Can I Get a Witness conference happened, because I got kicked off Twitter in April of 2019.
Yeah.
And what did that do for me? I just went, damn it, I've got to make a conference. And of course, I had no idea about the pandemic happening, but I planned it for August of 2020. I thought it was going to take me about a year or more to get together something I thought would be in the Bay Area. Anyway, it became what it did. And Vimeo kicked those things off, like I said, 5 months later. But it's mostly no press. But what I started, and why I was telling you that, is I started my connections right away. And one of them became with somebody from a more conservative publication that showed real interest in trying to follow what the work that I was doing, and the work that Erin Friday, who's now part of Our Duty USA and everything, and she leads the PRO GDK group in the Greater Bay Area, I believe. I don't know what her distance is, but I already had connections in LA, in the Bay Area. I'm in the Bay Area, and it was really important for me to reach out to these press people that I know. And one of them was from the Epoch Times. And I also was in touch with Fox, had already filmed one of the last protests that we did in 2021. Okay. So you can see in the footage even of Tucker Carlson's transgression, I think it's called, that you know, you got to pay for that. See, everything has pretty much had to have a paywall on it, and that was the other issue, right? So Epoch Times, they did an interview with Vera right away. Made sure that we got a non-right publication to do something. Donovan Cleckley has been an amazing ally in this whole thing, and he's a wonderful writer, and he interviewed both Vera and I, and he put an article on womenarehuman.com. Now that was more sort of speaking to the choir of feminists know about that. The mainstream doesn't know about that. And Epoch Times, it's mostly more leaning right, conservative, and Christians. And the whole thing that Vera and I and the filmmaker wanted to do was get this everywhere, because as an activist, I have been reaching across the aisle for a long time. I never thought I would be talking to so many Republicans, and they would be talking to me and being open to having me show up meetings and whatnot, and beyond that. So
tell me, are you going to do a lot of theatrical screenings of the film? I know I'm going to be in Austin, and Stephanie Wynn, who's part of the project, she's
an associate producer, and she's in the film. Yeah,
she's going to be doing a screening of it in the theater where we're showing the Detransition Diaries. Do you have other theatrical screenings planned, or
not at this point? And now that I'm sitting with you, we can maybe talk about that a little bit later off of the
and that's another for people listening. If you wanted to bring the film to town, you know, rent a local independent movie house. We're going to be showing the Detransition Diaries in a few weeks down in Redwood City at an independent theater. You know, there's those movie houses all around, and that would be a great way for people in a community, if they want to, you know, get parents to come or public school teachers to come. So
that's why we started the watch party idea, and Stephanie's been really working that angle, and I have as well. We're working independently with different communities and people that are just like inviting family friends over and using it. I have, there's a lesbian couple in the Midwest who I probably will never meet, and the two of them have come from like farm families, and they wanted to have both of their parents, you know, this is like a married couple, they've been together for years. And they wanted everybody to know that they haven't been part of this, you know, the LGBT, just put Trojan horse on the T.
Just drive it on it.
So yeah, they contacted me directly and asked if I knew anybody else in their area, and I didn't. And they can't like come out to their whole community, even though it's a farm community, but they got their parents to come. And I'm waiting to hear back about how that was. And it was a way for them to really drive home to their parents, who are right-wing conservative, but they're also the kind of Christian that believes that we should be kind. And if somebody just wants to say who they are, that should be okay. And the one place that they seem to sort of get it, you know, the whole bigger picture of this self-ID is, well, there shouldn't be any men in women's sports. Well, it's like, and where else do you think it's going to stop? Did you know that women in prisons are having the rapists come in and be their new bunkmate? And then they start opening their eyes like, oh, it takes something to, you know, drive and people to see. And I always say it starts at self-ID. As soon as we change that language, and you're forcing me to start calling you a man and referring to you as a he.
And different people are going to, I know in my own work and just speaking to people, you know, they want to just live and let live, live and let live. And you sort of have to find a point in their life that will connect with them. So like when I speak to young girls, it's often sports, because they don't really have a category for incarcerated women. But you know, they've all grown up playing some, well, not all, but many of them have grown up playing some kind of organized sport, or even competitively. Even my own children have been competitive sports people. And for other people, it's kids, because they have children. They have children that are confused and think they're in the wrong body, or they go to school with a little boy who now wants to go in the little girl's bathroom, and they're not really comfortable with that, even though they want to be nice. So
yeah, child safeguarding, huh? I mean, that's
so I think different people will have, you know, something that kind of goes, oh, that's not right. You know, where it's like, oh, maybe okay, well, you know, how many men really want to compete in women's sports? Oh, that's not really a big problem. But yeah, it's so I always tell people that it takes me a year to make a film and it takes me a year after to push it.
Mhm.
So it's not, the work isn't done. I mean, the film is out,
Mhm.
but the work is almost even heavier now. Because you're trying to put, you're building out the website, you're creating all these resources, these
Mhm.
toolkits, trying to get pediatricians all across the country to watch it, organizing watch parties. What's your biggest need right now?
That's different than something you started out with. It's funny. The film was done,
Yeah.
and then there was like a period of 2 weeks where it was like, wait, what? These news items kept coming out. And of course, when Jamie Reed, who blew the
Oh,
whistle on the St. Louis clinic,
has she seen the film?
I have no idea.
Jamie
but,
Reed, if you're listening, you need to watch the film.
but the epilogue changed, to include that. And the thing was, there was also feedback. We were waiting for feedback from a certain group of clinicians. We wanted them to see this and give us, because we knew, since we were focusing on the medical harms, Vera was like, she knew, and the filmmaker's task, the filmmaker being the person with all the footage in the editing, as we say, in the editing bay, working on this, to know that everything that we did was going to be scrutinized. It had to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
So with 60 transitioners, those are personal stories, right? With others like myself, and Jennifer Bill comes in as someone who's been researching this. I mean, following the money since 2013. I have my life experience, and people don't understand what desister is, and that's a whole other thing. And then we've got 45 peer-reviewed, medical, out of medical journals, studies, whatever, all of it. It's the medical stuff that people, it's the facts that people really, really care about. The supporting stories, like my experience being hustled, is just, that's just evidence that something's been going on for decades. This is not just something that popped out. So part of the pre-production work for me was starting to establish or reestablish relationships with people, to say, we're making a movie. Hopefully it's going to come out in about 5 months. It was at the time we thought, right? It got put off because there were a lot of issues. But anyway, it was over a year. And in that time, I'm really glad now that it actually has taken that time, because all the more evidence that was put in there, not just whistleblowers, but more solid, now the lawsuits. We've got Chloe Cole in California, right? She's the second lawsuit in the country. The first one is in Oregon. Camille in Oregon, then comes Chloe.
Then we got the Canadian.
And now we have the Canadian that just came up, but that's, some movie's already out. But I mean, these are things like, as news breaks, there comes the companion piece of the website. So post-production is all of this, now that you're saying the hustling and all that, that's what I've been preparing for a good part of the year, besides having a voice in, no, do we want that? Or how about if we take that out and do this? And, those are the things. But it's constant. That's why, in Hollywood, when somebody puts out a drama, and I think of, I follow stuff, and I'm looking at now, my favorite movie of the year was Tar. And to see the hustling that they have Cate Blanchett doing, that is not just for Oscars. I mean, that is really, and it's all tied to money and advertising, and are people seeing it? Now it's on the streaming platform, but they kept it in theatrical, very minor release at first. So something like this, what we do hope is that somebody will buy this. And it looks like we might, as of this morning, we're in conversation with a potential distributor. So that's fantastic. But theatrical screenings, yes, it'd be great. And people doing watch parties is really fabulous. Just like being on you've got a pretty big computer screen here that I'm looking at. That's what a lot of people are doing. They're inviting family and friends over and doing snacks and food, watching it on a larger screen, or they're doing it to their smart TV, and they were already on Vimeo. If they have a smart TV, then they could, track it other ways now. And I've got a glossary of definitions, descriptions of things that might come up in the film, like detransitioner. What does that mean? What does decysteine mean? What is transgender? And everybody gets to it. It's nothing. It's a made up identity. And so we've got a glossary of terms that can go out if people want that. and also like a template I created for some of the watch groups that happened the weekend, of discussion points, just very clean discussion points,
Leading a
so that it
conversation.
leads to action, because
Yeah.
that was the other thing, is that main thing. Who do we want to hit? And what do we want to do with this? We
Yeah.
want people to wake up.
And can people support you? Does Vera are on the website? Is there like a give, donate,
There's the
support?
donate button. We'd love it.
Yeah.
This is a self-financed film. Vera
Yeah.
Linder, it's all on her.
Yeah,
It is all on her. And it's been this the whole time,
yeah,
to find a filmmaker, to work with, for her to get paid, everything. So any donations that are coming in now, it's like that money's been spent, and there's a lot more money that
yeah.
will be spent, but it's part of my goal too.
And she's given a gift and allowing the film to be viewed for free. I mean, we've monetized the Detransition Diaries. Modest, it's $5.99. I
Mhm.
mean, people, for heaven's sakes, will spend that at Starbucks on a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
However, as a small independent filmmaker, when you're paying for everything, or you're doing it all yourself as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Talk about the hustle.
We're so used to streaming and being able to, and still there are people that bootleg, when the film has come out and it hasn't gone to streaming yet, and they'll do that. And it's just, it kills me. It's just like when Napster came up, and I don't know anybody.
We're old enough to know
Anybody
Napster.
that's not old enough to know, yeah, somebody started basically stealing everybody's music online and putting it online for free. And it really destroyed the music industry. I know, because I work in jazz and I started promoting jazz musicians, and it's just
I remember the Napster
yeah.
kerfuffle.
And he's the guy that
Yeah.
started Uber.
Oh,
Same guy. Yeah, we end up having these tech guys like this guy, what's his name? Gary Karp, I think, who started Tumblr, that helped kids go down the trans rabbit hole. And then he's on the board of Planned Parenthood, Alex found out.
So our time is about coming to a close here. Tell people where to see it, how to support you, the website address.
Okay, so the website address is affirmationgenerationmovie.com. Whatever happens with this, if it gets pulled or whatever's going on, you'll be able to see it there. And right now there is you go to the website, there's a donate button, as she was just talking about, which is fabulous. It's PayPal, and that's wonderful. And they need the money. And then the Vimeo that just went back up again, when you see it says video, there's a video button, and it goes right to the Vimeo again, even though there are these bootleg versions out there all over the place. So you can always find out there. If you're on Twitter, at 2022 affirmation, at 2022 affirmation is the account where you're going to see everything.
And you're on Instagram too.
We're on
and
Instagram as
Facebook.
well, and we have a YouTube channel that is, Affirmation Generation. I don't know if we're being shadow banned at this point, but you can see all the links from the website as well. So Instagram, and we've got a Facebook page, Affirmation Generation. There's not been a lot of activity on there, but it's just still, popping up. So all these things, this is very fresh. And if you are in touch with anybody that is in a church, that is in any kind of religious, I don't care if it's a sports group or, any kind of community groups or anything like that. Stephanie Wynn is out for, I think she might be up for traveling, and I am as well. And we're out there. Our faces can be seen, while two other women involved in this cannot.
Yeah, so you can actually have filmmakers or people in the film come and do a Q&A after, which is really fun. So organize a watch party, organize a local screening in your community, either at a school or a church or at a local independent movie house. Share it. If you are fluent in a foreign language, Spanish, Italian, French, German, Japanese. This is not happening only here to English-speaking countries.
No.
So, well, thank you.
I have a new one. I have a new request. Send Vimeo a thank you, specifically because this movie impacted you. You feel that it's incredibly loving and a very thoughtful thing, and a good thing and the right thing that they brought this back on, because we don't know why, but there it is. And when people do stuff like that and they correct themselves, it's a great thing. So
To tell them thank you. Actually,
tell them
when
thank you.
I had bought the movie Dead Name from
Mhm.
Vimeo, and then when they pulled it, I asked Vimeo to give me my money back
Mhm.
because they took away something I owned that I
Mhm.
purchased, and they refunded me. So I think it both ways. They need to hear that people aren't happy when they pull stuff, but they are happy when it's reinstated too.
Yeah, I didn't get
So
my money back. I'll have to
you
write
have
them.
to ask them, and they will.
Yeah.
You'll get a credit
Yeah.
back. So anyway, thank you, Joey.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.